Hi guys, welcome to Luke Ellis TV here. This one is just one about driving in storms and what to do, because we've just had Storm Callum recently. As all of you saw over the news, you know, there was a car that flipped over on an A road and it just caused havoc. This is just really a quick 5-step guide on what to do, because driving in storms for a new driver, like as it is with my driving videos and my advice videos, it's always mainly aimed at younger drivers just to sort of help them out. Let's get to it. Tip number 1. Always keep at least 4 seconds distance between the car in front of you or the vehicle or what it is. Because in wet roads, your stopping distance is doubled from a dry road. And what a lot of people don't seem to quite understand is well, when you're, let's say, going down the motorway at 70 miles an hour and the car in front of you also going at 70 miles an hour crashes or comes to a complete halt for all of a sudden, and you're 2 seconds behind of it, because of the wet road, you're going to go skidding into the back of them. It's very simple. And it's not just opinionated, it's facts. You are going to go into the back of them, and that's the reason why the highway code says leave 4 seconds, of a gap between you and the person in front of you. So tip number 2, for when this really sort of more applies to driving in anything like a country road, is take your time and be careful on what roads that you do drive on. Because let's say that you, for instance, drive on a sort of very muddy road in a car that's not built for off-road, and it's completely mudded out in swamped out and everything, you're going to get stuck very, very, very quickly. And your tyres and the weight of the car is just going to sink you down into the ground even more. And stay away from farms and everything. Don't try turning around in a farm. One instance for me, like, I was out in my part-time job and, you know, missed my turning and whatever, and I decided there was a field there, so I thought I'd turn around, and the ground was quite moist, and because there was a lot of dew and everything, because it was just freezing cold and it reached to -1 that night. I did a stupid thing of trying to turn the van around in the field, and I got myself stuck. And that's where I'm trying to get my advice to you guys from my slip-ups, and not just to try and say, oh yeah, that he's a, like, you know, rubbish driver or anything, but you know, we all learn. When you're out in the countryside, just try and be careful where you drive, what road surfaces are like, and also make sure you know the road very well. Don't get stuck on the road that you don't know, because like it is with the countrysides, especially around here in the southwest, that once you're stuck out in the middle of somewhere, it's quite hard without GPS to try and fully understand where you are. So drive on roads that you know. Tip number 3, and this is sort of motoring connected, sort of not, but during a storm, is just be aware of others as well. Obviously we can't help it when we have to drive through a flood or something, or there's a single track road and you've got no choice but to drive through a flooded part of the road. But what I'm trying to get at is just be a bit more considerate to the people either side of you. Like, I wouldn't like it if a car came from either direction at 30-40 miles an hour, went through a flood and completely got me soaked. I'll be miffed. For pedestrians as well, sometimes there's these school kids who will egg drivers on to do it, and it's just don't do it. It's not very nice, and I don't think that while you're waiting for the school bus home or school bus to go to school, I don't think either parents or teachers would be too impressed for you to come into school soaked like a rat. It doesn't set a good example, especially to your school if you're wearing uniform. For tip number 4 is, if you are going on a long journey, make sure that your tyres are fully pumped. Just make sure that you keep your engine maintenance, like, you know, your oil, your coolant, screen wash, and what other bits and bobs of any extras that your car may have, maintain them. And also tyre pressure as well, make sure you've got enough fuel for going on a long journey. And then for tip number 5, it's really more down to you really and what you decide to do. Behave really, and don't try and take the mick out of others, and don't decide to think that the road is a racetrack, because when it is wet and it's very, very slippery, you're pretty much just turning the road into yourself for a skid pan. That's all you're doing, and all you're going to do is test your car to see how much you can skid out until you don't crash. Well, until you do. So just try and behave, people. I know when there's a straight piece of road and there's no one else around you, it's just very tempting, especially if it's a wide open road as well, that it's very tempting for you just to go, right, let's just go for it. I know how tempting that is, I know very well. But don't do it. Especially if there's a cop car and he's undercover and he's following you behind you. Doesn't look very good. Just be very careful, people. Especially with these winter months coming up ahead of us now. It's going to be a pretty cold few months, so just be safe on the roads. And I'll do one more on winter driving in about a month or two, once it gets really, really cold. So just keep a lookout on this space, and also don't forget to, if you're new around here, feel free to like and share and subscribe, and turn your notifications on, just so that you're up to date with all the latest. And feel free to approach to me on my Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook as well. All the links to them will be in my end card, and I will leave a random video on the end card, and I shall see you lot on the next video.